Coming up.
It's another step in the case, and I think it is a big one.
For Vault Studios, I'm Reed Redmond. You're listening to The Daily Crime. It's been nearly 5 years since two friends, 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German, were killed while out on a hike in Delphi, Indiana.
Libby German and Abby Williams went missing after visiting a trail outside Delphi. Their bodies were found on Valentine's Day, just out of sight of the bridge where the girls were last seen alive.
There really is nothing anyone can say, nothing anyone can do to ease the pain here in Delphi.
Everyone still walks around thinking, will there ever be justice?
Now, despite all of these clues, even a nationwide attention on the case, even on television, police have never found the person responsible.
On December 6th, Indiana State Police provided an update on their investigation, one that's already spurred hundreds of tips.
Now, a renewed sense of hope with an announcement this week from state police asking for information about a social media profile linked to the investigation.
Joining us is Emily Longnecker, a reporter with WTHR in Indianapolis. Emily, you've been covering some updates related to the heartbreaking case of two young girls in Delphi, Indiana, 14-year-old Liberty or Libby German and 13-year-old Abigail Williams. Before we get to the latest, fill us in on the background here. What happened back in 2017?
Well, back in 2017, two young girls from Delphi, friends, they had the day off from school and they decided to go on a hike on a nature trail that's well known in Delphi. And the older sister of Libby German dropped them off at the trail and they were never seen again. And the next day, their bodies were found in a wooded area near the bridge where they had been hiking. It was called the Monon High Bridge. Over the next months and years, investigators released different information. One of the first things that came out was audio that investigators believe was audio of the killer. And that audio was taken on Libby German's cell phone.
And then a week later, they released an audio recording from her phone of the man saying, "Down the hill." Take a listen.
And, we still don't know why she rolled that day. She rolled on video and audio. And so you heard what police believe is the killer saying "down the hill." And later they released a little more of that audio to hear the man say, "Guys, down the hill." Since then, two sketches have come out. One initially that seemed to show an older man. And then a couple of years later, police released a different sketch and said, this is the sketch that you want to go with, which depicted a much younger man.
During the course of this investigation, we have concluded the first sketch released will become secondary as of today. The result of the new information and intelligence over time leads us to believe the sketch, which you will see shortly, is the person responsible for the murders of these two little girls.
They also, released a little video that shows this suspect walking towards the girls, and it would appear he has like a little bit of a limp. I mean, I've talked to Mike Patty, Libby's grandfather, a few times about this, that, just the fact that Libby had the presence of mind to roll on this, to push record on her phone. And he says he thinks his granddaughter probably thought, well, I better roll on this just in case and show my grandfather later that something is strange about this man. And obviously we know that, she never got a chance to show that to her grandfather.
Just to recap some of that, it sounds like investigators are working with quite a few clues. We have sketches, audio, and video. But over the past nearly 5 years now, have there been any named suspects?
No named suspects, but interestingly enough, I have to tell you, I get emails and Facebook messages, gosh, I don't want to say once a month, but several a year, where people will message me and say, pretty emphatically, this is the guy, I know this is the guy, and, this, that, and the third, and give me all the reasons why they think it's their neighbor, or it's this person or that person. And So people, a lot of people have obviously taken interest in this case. They want to see it solved and have tried through their own efforts to figure out who this could be. But at this point, state police have never named any suspects.
And so this case has now been unsolved for nearly 5 years. You mentioned you've talked to Libby's grandfather, Mike Patty. What did he have to say about what those 5 years have been like for that family?
I mean, last year the girls would have been seniors in high school. So we talked then about just how bittersweet it was to see some of the girls' friends graduate and go on with their lives. Most recently, when I talked to him, he talked about the holidays coming and what do you do?
What do you do for Libby? You know what I mean? What do we do? Do you put out a stocking? I mean, what do you do is set a place at the table?
I mean, just really raw, heartbreaking stuff that, as the years go on, it doesn't get any easier because these families don't have any answers. And it bothers, Mr. Patty has talked quite frequently about it bothers him knowing that whoever did this is still out there and, could possibly do this again.
Nobody had a right to do that. You know what I mean? They took 2 innocent young girls' lives. You had no right. You had no right to do that.
Anna Williams, Abby's mother, has talked to me about, trying to have the attitude that today is the day. Every day is the day. Every day could possibly be the day that the right clue comes in, the right tip comes in that leads them to whoever did this. But you have to imagine that 5 years in, I think it would be difficult to sustain that every single day and then not have answers every single day.
Right. I know hearing some of these conversations has made me reflect on how, most of us, we get to hear about a tragedy like this and then turn off the news or turn off a podcast or whatever it is. But for these families, this is their reality. It's their every single day.
It's their every single day. And, there had been discussion, was this a person that was just passing through or is this someone living in our midst? And, at one point a few years ago, state police gave a press conference. It's when they released that second sketch. And the superintendent of the Indiana State Police, Doug Carter, came out, and I'm paraphrasing his words, but he basically said, this person, the person responsible, could be in this room right now, could be watching.
Directly to the killer, who may be in this room.
And I remember everyone kind of pausing and looking around. And I remember just feeling like the hair on my arms stand up, right? Just thinking like, oh my, it is someone here. And the families have talked about that, not knowing, are we walking past the person every day? Or, do we see them in the grocery store and not realize it? Yeah, I think that would be just to have that hanging over your head and out there would be very, very difficult.
We believe you are hiding in plain sight. We likely have interviewed you or someone close to you. We know that this is about power to you. And you want to know what we know. And one day, you will.
Let's talk about the recent news here, seemingly the most significant update we've had in quite a while. Investigators have flagged a social media account. How did that come about?
Yeah, so on Monday, December 6th, in the evening, state police put out a video. And they said, we have an update in the Delphi investigation and we need the public's help. We want to hear from anyone who has been communicating with the social media profile Anthony_shots. This could be a social media profile on Instagram, Facebook, and on all kind of social media, Anthony_shots. And they said that this is in relation to the Delphi investigation. The picture that you see on this profile, we have identified is really a male model. So it's a catfishing kind of situation, right? So the person pictured is not actually who opened this profile. And further, it's our understanding that Anthony_Shots has used this profile to solicit images of underage girls, nudes, sexual images, and also used it as a way to meet young teenagers. And so we want to hear public, anyone out there, if you've had any dealings with Anthony_Shots on social media, we want to hear from you. So everyone, all the media here locally and even nationally, I saw, got that out there and started to dig, just knew that, okay, this is somehow, this Anthony_Shots is somehow, they think, related to the Delphi investigation. They are saying they are looking into this social media profile as part of their investigation into who killed Abby and Libby. Through some digging, we found out that there was a man in jail here in Indiana, in Miami County, a man by the name of Keegan Kline, that court documents revealed was the person that created that social media profile, Anthony_Shots.
Today, we've learned they've identified the man behind that profile as Keegan Kline, but police have not named him as a person of interest in the Delphi murders.
They haven't even called him a person of interest, but he is in jail right now on a separate case awaiting trial on, I think, 30 charges involving possession of child pornography, child solicitation. So his lawyer has come out and said that, he is in no way involved with the murders of Abby and Libby. And, state police, again, have never completely connected the dots and said that he is a suspect or a person of interest. But they say they're looking into this social media profile that they say they believe is connected to the Delphi investigation. And court documents reveal that he opened this social media profile 6 months before the girls disappeared and were found dead. And we know that 11 days after their bodies were found, state police and the FBI did serve search warrants on his home.
11 days later and 40 minutes to the northeast, on February 25th, Indiana State Police, the FBI, and Peru Police served a search warrant at a house in Peru, where Kline was living with his father. Police confiscated a half-dozen phones and electronic devices. Court records say that Kline admitted to receiving about 100 sexual pictures from underage girls. Police found sexually explicit images and videos of underage girls on several devices. But court documents reveal Kline factory reset one phone 2 days before police arrived and deleted the internet history and social media apps from another phone before turning it over to police 2 days after he was interviewed. Kline was not charged until August 19, 2020. He faces 30 felony counts from 2016 and 2017 for possession of child pornography, child exploitation, obstruction of justice, and synthetic identity deception.
Have investigators said how exactly they think this profile might be connected to this case? Do we know at this point if Libby or Abby might have been in contact with the fake profile?
So investigators have not said that. And they've said, we know that you have a lot of questions and whys and wait, how did we even get here? And where does Anthony_Shots come from? How are you even onto that? And they said, these are questions we can't answer. I asked Mike Patty last week, do you have any reason to believe that Libby would have communicated with this social media profile? Do you know if she communicated? And he said, I don't know. But he did say, that he talked with his granddaughter quite a bit about safety online and the importance of always having an awareness and not communicating with anyone online that you don't know. So we do know that this is a conversation that he had with his granddaughter about online safety and internet safety.
Because I discussed so many things in relation to safety and just being cautious of your surroundings at all times.
What else did Mike Patty have to say about this most recent news? I can't imagine the emotions that it brings up, but is he hopeful that this brings his family one step closer to hopefully getting the answers that they've been pushing for 5 years now?
Yeah, absolutely. He said, this is another step in the case.
It's another step in the case, and I think it is a big one.
He encouraged us to share that state police video where they're asking, they're soliciting information for anyone who has had any contact with this social media profile. So, and, you know, he just said that he's glad that it seems to be pushing forward, and you know it was a new development, and we haven't heard a lot in the past couple years.
And it sounds like investigators have come forward with this information now in the hopes that it'll bring up some new tips, and it sounds like that is exactly what's happened, that new tips are coming in.
Yes. 500 so far, we've been told from state police. At least 500 so far have come in since last week. So you know, Mike Patty talked about, you know, this to finally figure it out, or to have some more connections would be a big weight off of, you know, everyone's shoulders, the family's shoulders, the community's shoulders. I visited Delphi last week and went into a pizza shop on the square, and it's, you know, this tiny, charming little bedroom community, and behind the counter were two young women who had gone to school with Abby and Libby, and they were working behind the counter, and they talked about how this really kind of changed, you know, how they approached their young lives.
Everyone still walks around thinking, will there ever be justice?
There's no closure. It's just something that you sit on, and it's just like the caution about it dies down, but you're still worried about it.
All of a sudden, their parents were very cautious about them going out. They were very cautious. It kind of changed their perspective on things. They went from feeling really safe in their little community and thinking nothing of hiking in the woods and being on nature trails, to all of a sudden looking over their shoulders and wondering, you know, who did this to their friends. And you know, in the restaurant, you know, there was a picture of Abby and Libby up, and it said, you know, justice will be served for Abby and Libby. So this is also a community that has not forgotten about these two young ladies and how much they were loved.
I know it's also a case that's affected people all over the country. Before I let you go, I'll mention to our listeners that there is a lot more to this case, and all of WTHR's coverage can be found at WTHR.com. For anyone who has information about the case or about this social media profile, investigators ask you to send tips to Abby and Libby Tip at CACOSHRF.com. That address can also be found at WTHR.com, along with a list of specific pieces of information investigators are looking for. Emily Longnecker, thanks for sharing this story.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for listening to this episode of The Daily Crime. We're here with a new one every day of the week, Monday through Friday, so make sure you're subscribed to or following the podcast wherever it is you're listening right now. If you're looking for more podcasts, you can head over to voltstudios.com for a full list of our shows, where you can search Volt Studios in your podcast app. That'll do it for this one. Until next time, for Volt Studios, I'm Reed Redmond.